Hi everyone, welcome back. In this video, we'll go ahead and discuss the concept of margins inside of Microsoft Word, and we will also go ahead and see the different options that are available for applying margins and what margins basically are. You'll also notice that there are a lot of cool options with respect to margins that are available in Microsoft Word, such as book fold options and mirrored margins options, which we'll discuss towards the end of the video. So do stay and watch till the end in order to be able to learn those topics. So let's get started. Firstly, in order to find this margins options, you will need to enter into the layout tab of Microsoft Word. And once you enter the layout tab, you'll see something called as a page setup option over here. And over here, you'll see something called as margins. Now, before we go ahead and see what options are there inside margins, firstly, we need to understand what margins are. And as we understand from a common perspective, margins are something that we draw as boundaries to a page. And even when we are normally working manually on a hard copy, we always draw margins and we don't abruptly start anywhere. And this is basically used to ensure that all the content on every page will begin at the same point on the page, which means that it will start at the same point from the left and it will start at the same point from the top and it will end at the same point on the right and it will also end at the same point on the bottom. This ensures that the content remains in a fixed place on your page, either when you're doing it manually or typing any document out. Now we'll go ahead and explore and see what options Word offers for us with respect to margins. So firstly, if you click on the drop down over here, you will notice that we are going to find a couple of options with respect to margins, which are the default options that are available. And by default, we are going to be inside something called as the normal margin when you open Microsoft Word, wherein basically the top, left, bottom, and right margin distance is at 2.54 centimeters, which means that the left margin is at a distance of 2.54 centimeters, and all left, bottom, right, and top are all at a distance of 2.54 centimeters. And the way to verify this would be if you just can go to the view tab over here, you'll see something called as ruler within show. And when you turn that on, you'll notice a ruler or a scale like we would manually use. And with this scale, you'll notice that there is 2.54 centimeters that has been left from the left side of the page, and your content is allowed to start only after that. And similarly, you'll also notice a ruler over here which is placed vertically, and you'll notice that the content starts only after 2.54 centimeters has been left from the top. And similarly with the left and the bottom of your page, and this is the way to verify it. So if you don't want it, you can just go ahead and turn that off and go back into your layout tab. Now by default, we're going to be in the normal margins, wherein the top, left, bottom, and right all are 2.54 centimeters. Now apart from this, you'll also notice that there are a couple of other margin options over here, such as narrow. Obviously the distance is going to decrease, so this allows for more space for your content itself and lesser space for the margins if that's what you're looking for. Moderate, on the other hand, basically has the top and the bottom margins are 2.54, left and right is a little lesser, 1.9, 1.9. So it allows for more content to extend from the left to the right in a horizontal manner. And there's another option called as wide, wherein the margins are quite large. That is, there is a huge space left for margins, and this is used generally when if you are trying to type something like a poem or something like that, wherein you want a lot of margin space to be left and you want your content to be centered and limited to the center of the page. And with the wide option, you'll notice that the top and the bottom is around 2.5 centimeters, left and right is 5 centimeters on the other hand. So this is what your content will look like. If this is what you're looking for, you can use that as well. Now that we've seen the default options, what we need to also understand is that whenever you apply these default options of margins, you'll notice that it gets applied to the whole document by default, and that's your default setting. Now if for some reason if you want to apply different styles of margins to different parts of your page, let's just say that the first 3 pages of your document consists of text or a story like content, and the fourth page of your document alone consists of a poem like structure, and you want to change the margin style for different parts of your document, then how do you do that? Now if you want to customize that, what you can do is you can click on the drop down and you'll see something called as custom margins. Now within custom margins, at the bottom of this, you'll firstly see something called as apply to. Basically this means that where am I applying this specific margin style to? And then if you select the drop down over here, you'll notice that it says whole document, and this is by default, and there's an option which says this point forward. So for example, if I say that, let's just now go back into our normal state first, and let's say that from page 2 onwards, so on page 1 I want it to look like a normal style, but let's just say that from page 3 onwards I want the margin to be that of a wide margin. Then what I can do is go to custom margins first and change it to this point forward and click on OK. And once I click on OK, I can select what margin style I'm looking for. I'm looking for wide, so I can select wide for this point forwards, and what you'll notice is page 1 is going to remain in the normal style margins, and you can verify that by looking over here. And the next page onwards, onwards is going to go into the wide style margin. So if that's what you're looking for, then you can do that. This is one way to do it, but we will notice over here that when I apply this point forwards, then everything from page 2 onwards is going to apply that margin style. Let's say for some reason I want only page 2 to have a different style and page 1 and 3 can be of the normal style itself. In that case, what do I do? So in that case, you will need to break your document into sections by inserting section breaks. If you want to understand how to use section breaks, then there is a more detailed video that I will attach a link to in the description box, so you can go ahead and watch that as well. But just in brief, for the purpose of this video, let's just see how to insert section break. So a section break is always inserted at the end of a section. So basically, if I want page 2 to have a different layout from page 1 and 3, then I need to separate it and make Microsoft Word understand that page 2 is a separate section and page 1 is a different section and page 3 onwards is a different section. So in that case, what I'll do is I'll go to page 1 and place my cursor at the end of page 1, and I'm going to go to this thing called as breaks, and I'm going to insert a section break called as next page, which basically means that I am trying to convey to Microsoft Word that I'm inserting a section break here, which conveys that the section ends over here wherever my cursor has been placed, and whatever content falls after this cursor is going to be the new section and it has to start on a next page. I want it to start on a next page. That's what I'm trying to convey. So I can go ahead and insert that. And the way to verify whether you have inserted a section break or not is to go to your home tab and turn on this Velcro button, and you will notice that it gives you a dotted line. Many times it gives you a dotted line and it says section break over here, but if it's not saying it also, it's probably because there's no space over here, but it says section break, and this is the way to identify it. And I'm going to go ahead and turn it off. And right now I also want to insert a section break at the end of page 2 as well, because I don't want the style to be applied to page 3 onwards. I basically want page 2 to be an individual section of its own, wherein I can apply whatever style I want to apply only to that section. So I'm going to insert a section break here as well, where I place the cursor over here and click on a section break next page, which means that this section ends over here and everything content that falls after it is going to fall into a new section. As usual, the way to verify this would be go into your home tab and turn on the Velcro button, and you'll notice that there has been a section break inserted over here and a section break here. So now we've split our document in such a way that page 2 alone is considered as one section, page 1 is considered as one section, and everything from page 3 onwards is considered as another section. And now that I've split it into sections, what we will notice is that once I go back into the layout tab and go to custom margins, you'll notice that there's a new option in the drop down of apply to, and over here it says this section. At that point we had only two options, this point forward and whole document. Now it also says this section. What this allows you to do is that it allows you to apply these margin styles only to this section and not to any other part or this point forwards. So this allows you to limit it to sections as well. So once I click on this section and I can click on OK, and what I can do is place my cursor over here and select the style that I want, if wide is what I want. Now you'll notice that it remains the same for page 1. Page 2 is the only thing that is in a wide style, and everything that falls after it is in the normal style. Again, if you can just place your cursor and verify it over here. So that's how you apply different margin styles to different sections of your document by breaking it into chapters or sections by using section breaks. Now the next thing to discuss is, for some reason, let's say that you don't like the margins that are available over here, or you have received a customized request saying that you want the margin length to be specifically only 3 centimeters, but I don't find a 3 centimeter option over here. What can I do in that case? So go to custom margins, and what you'll notice is over here you have the option to adjust the margins on your own, which says top, bottom, left and right. So what I can do is I can go ahead and just manually type 3 centimeters on all of these and select whole document and click on OK. Then what happens is that specific type of margin is going to get applied everywhere, and that's how you can go ahead and customize it as well. Now the next thing to understand is something called as a gutter position. So once you go into custom margins, you'll see something called as a gutter position. So if we are going and printing this document, and let's just say that we're printing it in such a way that we're printing it only one-sided, that is, it's going to be present on the odd pages and not on the even pages. So if you're planning to do a one-sided printing, then what happens is many a times we might also want to spiral bind this document, and if you're looking to spiral bind the document, you might be worried that a part of your content might get cut out while you try to bind these pages, because the spiral binding is exceeding the margin that you have already marked for your document. In that case, what you can do is there's something called as a gutter position. So this gutter position, you'll notice that there is a drop down which says left and top. Basically, if you're trying to spiral bind it in a vertical manner, that is lengthwise, then you can select left. And if you're trying to spiral bind it on the top, that is, if you're trying to spiral bind it over here on the top of your document, then you can select top, and you can select a gutter distance. Basically what this does is, you will notice over here in the preview is that once you increase the gutter distance, you'll start noticing that it's adding an additional distance to the left over here, which allows room for your spiral binding, which ensures that no part of your content is going to get cut. But a point to note over here is that whenever you add a gutter distance, what happens is that it's going to increase the margin distance by the left side plus the gutter position. What this means is that now originally if my gutter was at a 0, at that point what would happen is that my content will start at a distance of 3 centimeters from the left side of the page. But let's say my gutter is 2 centimeters. If I put 2 centimeters as my gutter distance, what's going to happen is that my content is going to start at a distance of 3 plus 2 centimeters from the left side. So it's now going to start at a distance of 5 centimeters from the left side. So that's also something to keep in mind, because do not add too much gutter distance, because then the space available for your content will get reduced by a drastic amount, because it's always going to be calculated as the left margin plus the gutter distance, and your content is going to start at that many centimeters after. Now let's just say that you've marked your margins as 1 centimeter, because 1 centimeter is what you kind of want on the top, left, right, bottom and everything. On all the sides you basically only want 1 centimeter. But let's say you know that after spiral binding it is going to occupy at least 3 centimeters from the left side. Then what you can do is you can add 2 centimeters as your gutter position. This becomes a total of 2 plus 1 centimeter. So this allows a room of 3 centimeters from the left side of the page, which allows room for your binding, but your top, bottom and right are still going to remain at 1 centimeter itself. So this allows a good amount of room for your content, and it allows you to also add a gutter position, which allows you to add additional space on the left side for your spiral binding without having to increase the margin distance of your top, bottom and right. In the same way, you can also, if you want to, select top if you're doing a spiral binding on the top of your page, that is the width wise of your page, and you can select your gutter distance. And also in that case, what is going to happen is that the total distance from which your content is going to start from the top is going to be 2 plus 1 centimeters on the top. So now what is going to happen is it's going to start at a distance of 1 centimeter from the left itself, because I have selected top, but it will start at a distance of 2 centimeters plus 1 centimeter, that is a total of 3 centimeters from the top. Now if this part of the video is a little confusing, just rewind this part of the video and watch it again, and it will become completely clear to you as to what we're talking about. So let me just apply this and show you what's going to happen. For example, let's just say I've changed this to left. Now what is going to happen is, ideally when I turn on my ruler, from the left side of my page the content should start at a distance of 3 centimeters, which is 2 plus 1, but everything else it should start at a distance of 1 centimeter each. So let's just apply this and see what happens. Now you'll notice that only the left side is going to be starting at a distance of 3 centimeters, because now it's become 2 plus 1 3, and everything else is having a margin of only 1 centimeter. So that's what we mean by adding a gutter position. Same thing, if I just wanted to change this to top, then what's going to happen is only the top is going to start from a distance of 3 centimeters, and everything else is going to be at a distance of 1 centimeter margins. So if you apply this, you'll notice that the left, right and the bottom is still having only a 1 centimeter margin, but only the top is going to have 3 centimeters because of the gutter, and this allows you space for your binding. Now the next most interesting thing to discuss is something called as mirrored margins. So we go back into our custom margins. Now let's talk about a scenario where we are going to print the document double-sided, which means we're going to print content on both sides of the page. So in order to explain this in a better manner, I've already pasted some images over here from which we can go ahead and try to understand the concept of mirrored margins. So mirrored margins is basically, like I've right now said, if we are looking to print the content on both sides of the page and not just single-sided, then what's going to happen is, let's assume that this is a book that we're printing and there's content on both sides of the page. So now this becomes page 1, and once you flip it, this becomes page 2, the left side, and the right side will again be page 3. Now let's say that I'm also printing it on a double side and also trying to do a spiral binding to it. So when I'm trying to do this, I can no longer say only left margin or right margin, and I can't use that language anymore, because what happens is, if I just increase the left side margin, it will be suitable for all the odd numbered pages, because for an odd numbered page, if I increase the left side margin to 3 centimeters, then great, it will be able to accommodate space for the spiral binding, because the spiral binding is going to come on the left side of an odd numbered page. You'll notice the same thing for page 3. The spiral binding is going to occupy space on the left side of page 3, which is for all the odd numbered pages. But if we look at the even numbered pages, what happens is the spiral binding is going to occupy space on the right side of the even numbered pages. And because of this confusion, if we just refer to our margins as left and right, it is not going to be convenient, because if we are going to do a double-sided printing and do a spiral binding, if you just increase the left side margins, then that will accommodate space for a spiral binding only for the odd numbered pages, which is 1, 3, 5, 7. But for the even numbered pages, it is going to increase the left side margin, which is of no use because there is no spiral binding present on the left side of the page. But for even numbered pages, the spiral binding is going to occupy space on the right side of the page. So this is where the concept of mirrored margins becomes useful. So you'll notice now that if we click on the drop down and select the custom margins, there is something called as pages over here which says multiple pages. Over here you have multiple options. We are usually in the normal style, and normal style is used when you are trying to print a single sided printing and you're trying to attach a spiral binding. Now if you want to do a double sided printing and spiral bind your document, you will need to select mirrored margins. One key thing to note before using mirrored margins is always, as a good practice, bring your gutter distance back to 0 centimeters and then try to apply mirrored margins. Now we will notice that once we select mirrored margins, the language over here is going to change. That is, right now it is using the language of left and right. So what it's now changing to is it says inside and outside margins. So now what happens is it's going to refer to your margins as the insides and the outsides. What does this mean is that whenever you increase the inside margin, what it does is it's going to increase the insides of your document, and the insides of your document are always this part and this part. So the inside of your document refers to the right side of your even pages and the left side of your odd pages, and the outside of your document refers to the left side of your even pages and the right side of your odd pages. So now what you have to do is, if you're trying to print your content in a double-sided manner and you're also doing a spiral binding, all you have to do is increase the inside margins, and this automatically accommodates space for spiral binding, irrespective of whether it is the left side of your page or the right side of your page. It's just going to accommodate space for a binding on the insides of your document. So now what I can do is I can go ahead and increase the inside margins and maybe make it like, let's say, 4 centimeters, because I think it's going to occupy 4 centimeters. And when I increase this, what you'll notice in the preview over here is that only the inside margins have increased and the outside have just still remained at 2 centimeter each. And what's going to happen when I apply these margins is that you will notice that for all the even numbered pages, the margin is going to be 3 centimeters on the right side, and for all the odd numbered pages, the margin is going to be 3 centimeters on the left side. And we'll just apply this and now see. So click on OK, and now you'll notice that when we go to page 1, you'll notice that the left side has a margin of 3 centimeters and the right top bottom has 1 centimeter. And if you go to the even numbered pages, the right side is going to have a distance of 3 centimeters and the left side is going to be 1 centimeter each. This is what is going to allow you for a double-sided printing and allow for a spiral binding, because as we have seen over here, for odd number pages, what's going to happen is that the margin should be greater and larger on the left side to accommodate the spiral binding, and for even numbered pages, the margin should be larger on the right side to be able to accommodate the spiral binding. So this is the concept of mirrored margins. Now the next really interesting thing that we're going to go and discuss is something called as a book fold option. And to understand the book fold option, I've again placed some images over here. So let's try and understand this. Now assume that this is one A4 size sheet and this is the front side of your A4 size sheet and this is the back side of the same A4 size sheet. And let's say that I'm printing front and back. Now when I use book fold, what happens is that you can imagine that when you fold this into two halves along the crease over here, whatever is present on the right side of the front side of my page, when I fold it into a booklet, it becomes page number 1 of my booklet. And what happens is that the left side of my front page is going to become page number 4, which is the last page of my booklet, assuming that I'm trying to create a 4-page booklet. So it's basically just going to open up like a single book and it has 4 sides to it. Now what's going to happen is whatever is present as the content on the right side of my front page is going to become page 1 of my booklet. What's present on the left side of the front side of my A4 size sheet is going to become page 4 of my booklet. Similarly, whatever is present on the back side of the same A4 size sheet, whatever is present on the left side of that, when I fold it, is going to become page 2 of my booklet, and whatever is present on the right side of the back side is going to become page 3 of my content when I fold it. So now what's going to happen when you use the book fold option is that your content will be typed in the same way on Microsoft Word. You do not need to do anything. My point is that you do not need to rearrange and type page 1 content somewhere and page 4 content somewhere else. You do not need to do anything. All that Microsoft Word does is that when you use the book fold option, it rearranges your content while printing your content in such a way that 2 pages worth of content is going to be printed on or one single side in such a way that your page 1 of your content, whatever you have typed, is going to come and fall on the right side of the front side of your A4 size sheet, and whatever you have typed as page page 4 content is going to come and fall on the left side of the front side of your A4 size sheet while printing it, and whatever you've typed on page 2 of your Word document is going to fall on the left side of the back side of your A4 size sheet, and whatever you've typed as page 3 as your content is going to fall on the or be printed on the right side of the back side of your A4 size sheet. So let's go ahead and see in the margins what's going to happen. When I click on custom margins, and over here in the drop down I'm now going to select book fold. So when I select book fold, what's going to happen is you can adjust the margins obviously for your book fold style as well. Firstly, you'll need to select the sheets per booklet. Let's say that I'm creating this 4-page booklet. I just want 4 pages. So I'm going to select 4, and it's obviously going to have only either 4 or 8 or 12 as the page numbers whenever you're creating a booklet. And you have to select your sheet number first of all. So once you've selected the sheet number, you can also adjust the margins, and obviously again over here it's going to use the language or terminology of inside and outside, because I basically have 2 pages worth of content over here and I want the margin to be greater over here on the insides, and it does not matter to me whether that is the right side of a page or the left side of a page. I just want the insides of the booklet to have a greater margin than the outsides. So you can go ahead and increase the inside margins to, let's say, 4 centimeters. You can notice the difference in the preview over here. You'll notice that the top and the bottoms and the outsides are still going to remain at 2.4 centimeters, and the inside alone has increased, allowing you room for a spiral binding of your booklet if you wish to. And now once you select the booklet option and select OK, first things first, you'll notice that page 1 of your content will have a 3 centimeter margin on the left side, because it's going to be printed over here on this side of your sheet. So it will have a greater margin, which is 3 centimeters on the left side. Page 4 of the content that you are typing is going to have a 3 centimeter margin on the right side, and similarly page 2 will have a greater margin of 3 centimeters on its right side, and page 3 will have greater margins of 3 centimeters on its left side. So let's just observe page 1 and 2, and you'll also notice that the page sizes also will become smaller now, because it's going to try to accommodate and print 2 pages on each A4 size sheet. And you'll notice that page 1 the margin is 3 centimeters on the right side, and for page 2 your margin is going to be greater on the left side. What happens is that when you go ahead and print out this document, at that point Microsoft Word understands that since you have used the book fold option, what it's now going to do is that it's going to basically print page 1 and page 4 of your content. It's going to basically bring these two together and rearrange your pages and print them in such a way that it's basically going to bring the page 1 over here, whatever you've printed, and put that on the right side of is the front side of your A4 size sheets, and it's going to paste page 4 content on the left side of that same A4 size sheet, that is the front side. And similarly, it's going to take your page 2 content and it's going to print it on the left side of the back side of your A4 size sheet, and it's going to print page 3 content on the right side of the back side, which is what we have seen over here in our images. It is going to bring your page 1 content and print it on the right side of the front side of your A4 size sheet, and page 4 onto the left side, and it's going to take page 2 and print it on the left side of the back side, and page 3 on the right side of the back side. Why? Because when you fold it along the crease over here right now into 2 halves, now first things first is that it has printed 2 sheets per page, and when you fold it along the crease, what's now going to happen is that, if you can imagine, page 1 is going to come as the top of your booklet, and page 4 is going to be the back side of your booklet, which is the last page. And after you have folded it, page 2 is going to be the inside. Once you open your booklet, page 2 is going to be the inside, the left side of your document, and page 3 will be the right side of that booklet. So to enable this, it just rearranges the order while printing it, and it prints 2 pages per sheet. When you fold it along the crease, the order remains correct and you get 1, 2, 3, 4 in the appropriate order of your booklet. And obviously most of the time whenever we are trying to print it in such a way that we want to create a booklet and we want to fold it along the crease, we are obviously trying to print the page in such a way that it is printed in a horizontal manner, which is basically your, if you go to custom margins, it's going to be in the landscape mode, which is the horizontal type of the A4 size sheet. That is, instead of printing it vertically, you'll print it horizontally in order to be able to accommodate 2 pages. So the default option is landscape, because I want to fold it along this crease. That is, I want to fold it along the width of the page. So you can select portrait, but usually what we do whenever we are doing a booklet is a landscape mode. And now that we've seen the book fold option. The last option is a much simpler option to understand, which is the 2 pages per sheet option. Now, this is very similar to your book fold option, but the only thing is that it's not going to rearrange the order. It's just going to print 2 pages on each sheet. That is, in order to understand this, I've again pasted another image over here. So what 2 pages per sheet does is that you can go ahead and type your content as it is in the same order. The only thing it does while printing is that it's going to print 2 pages on each side of your A4 size sheet. So if this is one side of your A4 size sheet which is placed in a landscape manner or a horizontal manner, it's going to print page 1 on the left side of your front side and page 2 on the right side of your front side, and it will print page 3 on the left side of your back side, and it will print page 4 on the right side of your back side, and so on and so forth. So 2 pages per sheet is very relatively straightforward. It's just going to print it in the same order. It's not going to rearrange or shuffle the order of your pages. So if you just click on OK, you'll notice that your pages become a little narrower, and the reason they become narrower is because two of these is going to get printed on one single page. So that is the purpose of using 2 pages per sheet. So this is how you can apply margins to your pages. You can also customize your margins, and while customizing your margins, you can also apply a gutter based on whether you're trying to do a left side binding or a top binding, and normal is usually used when you're doing a one-sided printing. And if you're looking to do a double-sided printing, you can go ahead and select mirrored margins, and always do remember to also select the page orientation, whether you're looking for landscape or portrait. If you're doing a double-sided printing, but obviously if you want portrait kind of page, you have to go ahead and select that. And in order to understand the concept of orientation of the page, I have made another separate video on that, for which I will attach a link in the description, and you can go ahead and watch that to understand page orientation as well. And if at all at any point you want to apply different kinds of margin styles to different parts of your document, do also use the concept of apply to, where you can either do it to the whole document or split your document into multiple sections and apply a specific margin layout to each section of your document. So yeah, that's all about margins, and we have explored all the margin styles and how to use gutter position, how to use mirrored margins, how to use the 2 pages per sheet and book fold option, and also how to do a double-sided printing in this video. So do give this a try and do explore the various margin options, and wherever you're stuck, do pause the video and just watch it once again and use these images that I have placed over here to be able to imagine and get an understanding of how these margins work. And apart from that, if you have any questions, please feel free to drop it in the comment section, and I'll definitely try and help you out. Until then, thank you so much for watching, everybody. I will see you in the next video. Bye bye.